Originally scheduled, here we are ready to go at Thomond Park. 2020, the year that Christmas traditions were largely sacrificed to serve the greater good, and while largely insignificant in the broader picture, the enforced absence of the Munster-Leinster festive fixture left a void not filled elsewhere in the sporting calendar. Because in the simplest of terms, this fixture is unique. There's nothing quite like Munster versus Leinster. And the immediate importance of the 161st meeting of Munster and Leinster reflected in two fully stacked 15s. Johan van Graan's two changes from the win over Connacht in Galway a fortnight ago come in the front row. Rhys Marshall and John Ryan replacing Kevin O'Byrne and Stephen Archer. Byrne, Stander and O'Mahony in rejuvenated form of late. First start in this fixture for Gavin Coombs. No great surprise to see Conor Murray and JJ Hanrahan keep Craig Casey and Ben Healy on the bench. How the starting halves kick from hand and tee, of course, will be crucial, particularly in these conditions. Leo Cullen makes four changes from the win over Ulster at the RDS. Will Connors preferred to Josh van der Flier, the only switch in the forward pack. Van der Flier wearing 23 tonight in a 6-2 split on the bench. Gary Ringrose returns from injury, so Jimmy O'Brien is relocated to the Leinster wing. Luke McGrath partners Johnny Sexton with Jamison Gibson-Park and Ross Byrne among the visitors' replacements tonight. Well, I mentioned the conditions, and there was a lot of talk after the semi-final at the Aviva Stadium in Dublin back in September about the use of box kicking and how many times both these teams kicked in the game, particularly Munster. It has been snowing and sleeting from the heavens for around about an hour and a half down here at Thomond Park in Limerick tonight, but we are very, very lucky to be here and very much looking forward to what is a high-octane fixture with huge importance in both conferences in the Guinness Pro 14. Johnny Sexton's had a haircut for the big occasion. It is a chilly night to be going as close to that. Rhys Ruddock, what a performer he's been for Leinster this season, arguably their most consistent, having featured in pretty much every game. Hugo Keenan, man of the match against Ulster a couple of weeks ago. A really, really potent threat in that back three, although the back three for Leinster tonight surely against Munster will come under a lot of aerial bombardment. I spoke about the rejuvenation in form of Peter O'Mahony. It's a very, very interesting Munster back row tonight. O'Mahony, Stander and Gavin Coombs up against Rhys Ruddock, Will Connors and Caelan Doris. CJ Stander will enjoy tonight's proceedings, the verbals and the physicals, of course, and Ireland's Six Nations camp next week. Keith Earls didn't see too much ball in that semi-final. They'll look to try and use their wide men if the opportunity is there. And as always, Andrew Brace will be a central figure. JJ Hanrahan, can he rediscover the kind of form that he showed in that Clermont game in France when Munster were simply sensational, coming from what looked a beaten docket position to turn that game around? Luke McGrath in for Jamison Gibson-Park. Well, all the talk in the build-up is about the fact that Munster have lost 3 consecutive Guinness Pro 14 semi-finals to their arch-rivals, but this game tonight at Thomond Park in Limerick, yes, Leinster have cracked the code here at Thomond Park. This ground holds no fears for them, but it is a proud place for Munster to come and play rugby. They have not lost to anybody other than Leinster here for almost 4 years, 47 months in 38 games. Only Leinster have won here, and they've done so twice.
One stop.
So many subplots and little nuances to this game, but we expect first and foremost that both sets of forwards will go absolutely hammer and tongs at it on a tricky pitch at Thomond Park. Munster look to get themselves moving with ball in hand, and Dale Andy straight away puts one into the path of Keith Earls, who, between Keith Earls and Andrew Conway in the semi-final match, they only received 3 passes all night. Well, Earls has got ball in hand inside the opening 35 seconds, and here he is. And the tip-on pass, that's really nice stuff from Munster. Inventive stuff just inside the Leinster half, inside the opening 60 seconds. And we thought it might be fast and furious, and encouraging to see Munster put the ball through hands on slippery conditions. Liam Toland with me tonight on commentary.
Yeah, and a lovely start, wasn't it, from Leinster, securing that ball and working their way out considering the conditions. But what a lovely sight to see both Farrell and Dale Landy in midfield for Munster working. Farrell ran a very hard decoy line and the ball is pulled out behind his back and it reads the tracks on the far left hand side. Lovely start under these conditions.
Sean Cronin with a try against Ulster a couple of weeks ago. Had a little niggle this week, but he's fit to start in the middle of that Leinster front row. Ronan Kelleher, by the way, is on the bench for Leinster tonight.
Big night for Klein and Ryan. Klein in number 4 jersey in on the tight head side behind Ryan against Cian Healy. It's a really, really important part of the fixture, isn't it? See who comes out top.
Absolutely. Cronin, Marshall and Ryan, Healy, Cronin and Porter. A lot of scrummages in the game at the Aviva in September, that semi-final. Such were the conditions that night as well. It made it really difficult in a lot of handling errors and knock-ons. And
yeah, I know. That's fair enough. Just work together to get that right then, yeah? Discipline on buying phase.
Jordan Larmour loitering in behind Johnny Sexton. He's obviously going to put the fear of God into any defence. And even if he's just a decoy.
Munster scrum has been a little bit fallible at times this season.
Yes, it's
Robbie Henshaw, another of these Leinster players who's been in very, very good form of late. Timely return to his top form, and that's another really interesting battle. The midfield one, Henshaw and Ringrose reunited, Dale Landy and Farrell.
He's pulled down.
And does the Luke McGrath selection ahead of the more natural heads-up scrum half of Jemison Gibson Park tell us that we're going to see a lot of Luke McGrath box kicking. Fighting fire with fire, so to speak, but no box kick on this occasion from Conor Murray. They put it through the hands and lead off with CJ Stander.
Stay last feet.
3 tries and 15 appearances down the years against Leinster for the 46th-time cap Irish back row. Now, who gets the call here? Luke McGrath in behind Larmour. Ball in touch on the near side, knock on, but Munster get things moving. Full tilt, the opening 3.5 minutes here, and Stander again with a big carry. And there's the first breakdown penalty of the evening.
Yeah, just falling wrong side, 6. Fall the other way, please.
It goes against Rhys Ruddock.
Yep, shot called. Good crossy.
There's no lazy time to be in rugby, in professional rugby, but Conor Murray's defence off that scrum was superb. As soon as he got a sense that Luke McGrath was going to find his outside field, he just went straight out. He actually went outside JJ Hanrahan and forced the Leinster jersey, a Leinster defender, to come inside him and make himself as big a nuisance as he can. Really good work from Conor Murray. It's really hard to know how to frame this fixture, of course, Conor. Is this a final Irish trial? Is it a must-win game for Leinster considering the competition? Or is it really hugely important in terms of the culture of Leinster? And there's no more important player than this guy who did brilliantly in France. It'd be great to see him back it up.
Yes, 24 points, 9 out of 9. He was absolutely superb. Remember, 3 or 4 minutes into the semi-final at the Aviva back in September, it was a breakdown penalty from long range that allowed Munster take the lead via the boot of this man. The only little puff of breeze there is around Thomond Park is behind JJ Hanrahan. That's a really, really good strike. What a start that is for the Munster fly half. JJ Hanrahan, very much a confidence player, and the adrenaline will be coursing through his veins at this moment in time. That's a beautiful strike. Long, long way out. Heavy pitch, tricky conditions. Faint of a breeze with him, but not too much to speak about, really. And he struck that with real conviction. Heading towards the 700 points mark now in his Munster career. Great take from O'Mahony. Timing of the lift and good clean set of hands. And all the big targets now are poised. This time they miss out CJ Stander and go instead to John Klein.
Use it! Stay on. Stay on.
And there's the change of tactic, the controlled dynamic that Conor Murray brings again. There's a call from Larmour, second in a row that's gone forward. And we spoke about Munster box kicking a lot in the semi-final. Well, in the previous game against Leinster 2 weeks before that,
I'll move out your way.
Yeah, and the Leinster team did as much as they could to fill in that gap, didn't they? To give them as much space and a clean catch.
Tell me to move.
An awful lot of traffic, blue jerseys and red jerseys.
Both lines were poor on my side, went down together.
Yeah.
But you mentioned the kick-off there, like Peter Manny jumped, but it was actually the hooker, the Munster hooker, Rhys Marshall, who followed him up and lifted him. You see Rhys Marshall here behind. Like you might say, what's the value in that? There's a couple of inches, but it gives them a bit of solidity as well. That's a great bit of combination from both 6 and 2, 7 and 2, should I say.
well, they struggled a little bit in the Leinster back three in the first of those 2 games in quick succession, but they turned around with a very, very comprehensive performance under the high ball in the semi-final, which negated a lot of the Munster tactics. 83% success rate under the high ball in the semi-final. Now 2 front rows are standing up. Conor Murray's been told to use it. We might just have a reset. Nothing more on that occasion.
Yeah, I know, that's fair. Both hookers gone up together, so same scrum. Yeah, mate.
Interesting to see Rhys Marshall come in there. Niall Scannell, by the way, is on the Munster bench tonight, which squeezes out Kevin O'Byrne, who's been in good form in this competition.
There used to be a case in the past where if the front rows step up, but if the scrum is going forward, in this case, if you Munster, that they would get the advantage in terms of the benefit of the doubt.
Okay, let's go, guys.
Andrew Brace has decided to reset it. But there's some amount of energy being burned from both sides.
Bind. Set.
And straight down they go again.
Guys. Let's just concentrate on your own job now, okay? So I know it's poor, but let's get your feet underneath you and better heights. We can't keep moving over. Let's get it working this side, guys, okay?
In a mirror of Leinster's last scrum, Shane Daly, the number 11 from Munster, is loitering in behind. He's out half. But look, JJ Hannon hasn't decided he's going the blind side, because there is a big enough blind side to exploit.
Feet strong.
So he's kind of sitting in the neutral position there, ready to go left or right.
Crouch!
Got his Ireland cap against Georgia, Shane Daly.
Bind!
4th start of the season tonight.
Set!
A huge game. Started that semi-final against Leinster, of course. Now Stander gets the tap from Murray. The Munster scrum is going forward, and that brings the outstretched arm of Andrew Brace, and you can hear the decibel level up here.
Go forward and collapsing under pressure this side.
A little bit of chat in there. You wonder, surely it's right on halfway. It's probably 10 yards further out than the previous attempt, which Hanrahan sneaked over, so they're going for the 22 or thereabouts. See how much distance he can put on this.
I didn't quite pick up what referee had,
on this side.
what he had given against.
Good gap on 3, please, guys.
He's pulling it down. Is it on this side?
Let's go, Munster.
I'm
Let's
not
go.
sure on.
Like, they're massive moments of energy, aren't they? You see the reaction of the Munster players. Like, in these conditions, these little wins are huge.
Okay, 10 metres.
Well, particularly because we've spoken a lot about Munster conversion rate off set pieces, particularly inside the 22. They've scored 26 tries from this kind of position off set piece. Stander fires one out to tag Byrne, and there he is again, the Munster number 8. He's been very front and centre inside the opening 10 minutes. Murray, quick ball is a short ball out to Gavin Coombs. And they go again, this time with James Cronin inside the Leinster 5-metre line. The opening 10 minutes of the contest have been really good from Munster. Now, can they be ruthless and clinical? Can they find a way through? Sean Klein is trying to go through the front door. Good follow-up from Rhys Marshall, and this is looking pretty promising from a Munster point of view. Now, around the corner they go. Leinster in there defending desperately with Andrew Porter.
Last feet for me.
They go short from Byrne again. He's the supply line this time to the tight head prop John Ryan. That's a good little burst through the centre. Keelan Doris is He'll have to get himself out of there.
Earls is very, very open,
12.
way out on the right-hand side.
They drive for
There's
the
two
line again.
defenders.
Murray just holding and waiting. Coombs was the decoy. They go now to Dialande. Scott Fardy made a good and timely challenge. Now the ball's a little bit slow. Scott Fardy's on the wrong side. How does referee Andrew Brace see that? It's okay to continue. Tadhg Byrne for the line, and have they driven him over? Very, very close there. The support player arrived to the ball carrier, Jean Klein and Tadhg Byrne, the two lock forwards working in tandem. And has Tadhg Byrne got in for the opening try of the game on 11 minutes here? Joy Neville, the TMO tonight, may have a look at this.
On-field decision is try. Just want to confirm grounding.
Okay. On-field decision, try.
Well, the on-field decision, crucially, if there's nothing more from the replays, is try. Really good continuity and purpose and poise about that, building momentum through the forwards, and it looks as though they may well have got the reward.
Like Tadhg Byrne did well to survive the James Ryan tackle, didn't he? But there was two big red jerseys kind of latched onto him and drove him over.
Yeah, it's the two flank forwards, or it's Peter O'Mahony and Sean Klein. And
I had ball grounded, so
yeah,
that
O'Mahony got a
looks pretty
sweet hit,
good.
didn't he?
anything else
yeah,
different there, Joy?
No, Andy, you can stick with your on-field decision.
Perfect.
so we're going to have the first try of the evening, and Munster. What a start this is at Thomond Park. We've not yet played 12 minutes, and Tadhg Byrne has got in for his fourth try in Munster colours. Driven over from close range after 13 phases from inside the 5-metre line. A statement of real intent here from the home side.
About the flanker on that side as well, Sean.
Didn't jump out at me now.
Okay.
Just a moment for Joy Neville, who is the TMO tonight, and one of the reasons why she's TMO tonight is she's 4 months pregnant, so massive congratulations to Joy Neville.
Well, what a start this is. Conversion added straight away from JJ Hanrahan. Scoreboard reading very, very good to Munster eyes. They're leading by 10 points to nil. Murray, what have you made of the opening 12 minutes here?
Yeah, fantastic start from Munster. You're seeing the success of their box kick game twice. They've won the ball back or forced errors from Leinster. The first time leading to the penalty from JJ Hanrahan. Then you see the importance of the set piece. Win a scrum penalty, get into a good position. And I loved the running threat from Conor Murray off that line out. We wanted to see that. He used to have it in his game. Brilliant to see that, and puts them in a position to just get into their grinding forward game and really clinical. So excellent start.
Really is, and huge height on that box kick. It's really contestable over there. Really good challenge between Larmour and Earls, and it ultimately ends up in Munster ball. We spoke a lot about the fact that their contestable kicks didn't come back in that semi-final. They've got that one back. They've got the break from Haley. There was a good carry as well from Farrell at the start of this attacking set.
Fine off the foot.
Munster really throwing down the gauntlet. Scott Vardy off as a blood sub, and that's Dialande. Again, they're keeping the ball in hand. They're putting it through the hands, and they're protecting the ball, looking after possession particularly well in difficult conditions.
But look at the speed of the breakdown as well, Conor. It gives huge opportunity to keep that ball flowing, and Conor Murray's arriving to the base and spinning it away.
So here they go again, up into Leinster territory.
Don't look for it.
Murray to Byrne, and again he elects to pass. JJ Hanrahan, full box of tricks being opened here inside 14 minutes, and O'Mahony's taken that one as well. This is really good variety from Munster. They're keeping Leinster guessing right across the park in the opening exchanges. Just too tricky for Tadhg Byrne there. Couldn't quite stoop low enough.
So Munster had a short line out in the first attacking line out off the top, but look at Murray coming around. He had Daly coming in as well, just hinting at some of the blue jerseys and it wasn't on. The pass wasn't on, so Murray just carried on and just kept building the phases. Great little play.
And another sign of the confidence is JJ Hanrahan looking to try and be creative and bring his wingers in and get the ball to the edge pretty quickly.
Better height. He's very low and binding low.
Better height, straight go
So
forward.
this is going to be
Okay,
really
guys, let's go.
interesting. The last scrum that there was a penalty, if it was actually a Munster put in, so arguably the Munster hooker isn't as involved.
Don't come up
So
to the
now it'll
front
be
row,
very,
please.
very
Keep your
interesting.
bonds.
Huge scrum for Leinster.
Yeah, just keep your bonds. You can't come up to the front row.
Third best
Crouch!
scrum stats in the Pro 14 at 95% as against
Bind.
Munster's 89, which puts them down in 10th.
Sit!
But
Stable!
when you're 10-0 up in the derby, that's all a little bit by the by. At this moment in time, Leinster looking for some kind of a foothold and a riposte in the game. Unorthodox crossfield kick, and
Touch.
yeah, they're a little bit rattled here. I think it's fair to say inside the opening quarter of an hour or so.
Yeah, but I would say maybe possibly, but that scrum was a superb. Like if you consider the last scrum when they were packing with 8 and they conceded a penalty, that was a teak tough, perfect platform.
Good gap now, please, Leinster. 2-7, please.
It's a full
10,
line
yeah,
with
10.
Tadhg
10.
right down the tail.
Holding the
Best
15.
line-out in the Pro 14. Tadhg
Okay.
is the target.
It's never straight, guys.
Just the
It's outside.
delivery wasn't
Outside arm.
straight.
Never straight. Scrum called. Never straight, outside arm. Much better last scrum. We gotta keep the same standards. When you're ready, guys.
All the big names on show.
Let's
Yeah, it
go,
was
guys.
interesting
Let's
to hear
keep it
Leo
up,
Cullen
please.
before the game referring to the conditions of snow and then the turnover option. But of course, Munster have been at all the possession,
Yeah.
so there hasn't been that famous
Good
Tadhg
height,
blue helmet
strong
hasn't been
left side.
poaching around.
Crouch!
So we'd expect Leinster, a quality side, to get on
Bind.
and hold some possession and start developing their own patterns.
Sit!
Now that we're
Stay,
almost
stay.
17 minutes in.
Killendoris now off the base, and he sucks in Conor Murray and a couple of others. Peter O'Mahony notably. Johnny Sexton barking out the orders. He wants the forwards to try and get some momentum, forward momentum. Can they establish themselves in terms of that battle of the advantage line? Now Sexton goes aerial and straight down the middle of the pitch. Henshaw off in chase. Collects it well, and now there's a kick for territory in behind, but the cover from Shane Daly was good. Retreated quickly. Got himself into a very good position. That's a pretty useful kick. It's turning out to be much better than that. And look at this for field position in territory, and roars around the Munster players.
The front. Good gap.
This is outrageous.
Good gap at the front.
What a
Your
kick.
front man, please.
Now, with an oval ball, you don't know exactly where it's going to go, but it couldn't have been better.
Offside lines. Offside lines.
There's the
Hooker 2 and
contest
2, yeah.
between
Yeah.
Haley and Henshaw.
Yeah, ultimately Henshaw got it, but Doris, didn't he do well to get into the air?
Yeah, guys. No, they're on the mark.
Oh,
so
this
you
is
need
a
to come
big
in.
moment, isn't it? Is
we're
this
not gonna
the
have it too
first
big.
Leinster
Stop.
line out, I think, is it?
Leinster in.
I think it is, yeah.
More!
And Munster stayed on, and the target was James Ryan. Leinster have executed the first passage of that exit strategy pretty well. And completed then by Luke
So you
McGrath,
hold
but
the
they're still
10.
going to be inside their own
Hold the 10.
22.
Now, Munster have showed a line out
Offside
where they
lines.
want to get Conor Murray around the tail and get him
Hold the
onto
10,
the gain
both
line
teams,
with a
hold
lot
the
of
10.
little options around him. He obviously has the skills to execute that. But it's been short line outs thus far, really, to try and...
Time off.
I was just talking there at the start of the game, Conor, about
very
how do you
lucky.
frame this fixture? Is it a final Irish trial? Is it
careful, don't
a
fall
must-win for Leinster? Is it... I was talking to Brian Malloy, a winger in Rockwell School during the week. There's this bubbling confidence around Limerick all week that
Much
it's
better
it's
picture on this
Munster's
side of the scrum
time
than
to
the
win
last
it,
two
and he was very confident. But when I asked him how are they going to actually win, his confidence ebbed away. But there's certainly, everyone I spoke to this week, there's that hint that this is the time Munster are going to do it.
Well, some concern for Peter O'Mahony, yeah, but you're right. I mean, there's so much at stake tonight. Let's remind ourselves of the fact that Munster are leading the way in Conference B, and a win tonight would really take a significant step towards the Pro 14 final on March the 27th. Remember, this truncated season where only the top two sides from the conferences go straight through to the final. There is no playoff, no semi-finals, and ultimately Ulster are leading Leinster at the top
Yeah,
of
it was a
Conference A,
crooked anyway,
albeit
but yeah.
Leinster have games in hand.
Yeah,
But as Stuart
yeah.
Lancaster and Leo
You can
Cullen both said
anticipate.
a couple of times this week, look, those games are no use to us unless we go and win them.
Yeah, now, to throw a kind of spanner in the works, if this Rainbow Cup doesn't go ahead, there might be a cabinet reshuffle then, I think, and there might be.
Are we good? Yeah.
Well, as it stands, very
So
much
fellas.
to
both.
accommodate the Rainbow Cup, they have a one-off
Same for you now, guys.
final. So if that
Same
doesn't
for
go
you,
ahead, and
Munster.
like it's not likely to go ahead.
Time on. Full unless they state otherwise, Sean.
Well,
10.
Well, as things
Yeah.
stand, everything is on course for that final on March the 27th, and certainly all the chat in these two camps in the build-up to
Okay,
this
leave
big
it,
game
leave
is
it.
that it gets much more difficult
Use
for
it.
Leinster if they lose
No.
tonight, and Munster, well, they'll feel they're very, very close to that final, and if they can get to a final, and particularly if they can avoid Leinster, well, they will feel
Careful.
that this is their time. 2011, remember, when they beat
careful.
Leinster here the last
one.
time, they won the Magners League.
Leinster done very, very well, didn't they? Considering that super kick down into the 5 metres around the line, they've just worked their way out.
Fellas,
Two line-outs,
the line is
two
yours,
exits.
Leinster. Line is
Did
theirs.
really, really well to get out of there.
Not too big, Munster.
Now Coombs, we haven't seen him carrying the ball, but he's out in midfield with CJ Stander and Dale Lande. Now there's three beasts.
Wait.
Tag Bernier thought he was up a little bit early. The timing only fractionally off, but it's enough to sail over the top and into the hands of Sean Cronin. Rhys Ruddock now as Leinster approach the halfway line. Sexton offloading this time to Gary Ringo. It's great to see him back in action with the advent of the Six Nations, of course. Now Will Connors
Advantage, just high.
tackling there against James Cronin. Sexton knows that Leinster have the advantage and they play on through the hands with Henshaw. Good speed from Luke McGrath. Here they go once again.
No advantage. Just high tackle. Yeah. Number one just went up high. Just hot.
Look how flat the Leinster players are taking it to the gain line.
Just penalty only.
Inviting a big tackle. That was sloppy, wasn't it, from Cronin?
Fine.
Yeah. High tackle.
We see as the speed of the recycles picking up, the first receiver in the blue jersey, in that case it was Sexton, prior to that was O'Connor, just taking the ball very, very flat.
Do you want to kick first and time off, or do you want to go now? Yeah. Fair. Time off.
A little bit of running repairs for Sean Cronin, so we'll hang on for him.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? That kind of slight overthrow on a hooker of his, with the mileage he has in his clock, and he still can burn the pitch. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Saw it a couple of weeks ago in the game against Connacht as well,
Yeah,
where he was
crazy.
instrumental in the try for Ryan Bird, I think it was. Just
It was,
over
yeah, it
15, 20 yards. He's electric.
Good captain.
34 years young, I think it's fair to say. Picked up a nasty injury against Benetton away in Treviso in round 2 and only came back for that Connacht game. 42 tries in 189 appearances for Leinster. Well, here we are. The opening quarter of the game has flown by, and Leinster haven't
Sorry,
really
good
fired a
please,
shot.
guys, on number 3, captain.
But you do sense,
Number
though,
3.
Connor, you do
And you come
You do sense that it has been all Munster in the opening, say 15, 16
Stop.
minutes, and possession is beginning to swing back towards Leinster. Look how flat they're taking it.
And switching things up as well in terms of first receiver. Jimmy O'Brien into the line, but there's real intent around the
tackle cross.
tackle.
That's what it looks like, yeah.
Knocked on in the
knock on.
tackle by Dale Landy. The ball is there for the Leinster scrum half, McGrath. Here they go again with Connors.
Just a knock on.
Sexton back inside. Taken on by Maloney. He's made
advantage
good 3
over.
or 4 yards through the tackle. Now, is there something here for Gary Ringrose? Cronin there with a tackle. That was difficult for Sexton to take. He had to reach to grab it.
But that's 2 touches in one play. He's really starting to up his own involvement in the game.
McGrath wants quick ball. He had to pause just for a fraction of a second.
No, not for me.
Cries of knock on the floor. Referee Andrew Brace right there to say no, and it's there for McGrath again. Yeah, you just sense that Leinster have found a way into the contest with this continuity and this attacking set. Good recycling, quick ball, setting up good positions.
Rock!
Little stumble from McGrath that time, taken on by Keane Healy.
I've got
That's a
clear
big
grass.
collision between Healy and Cronin.
First man, I've got clear grasp unless you've
No,
got
that
anything
turnover
different.
is okay.
That certainly looks like a no-arm tackle, doesn't it? Was it Keane Healy carrying the ball into contact?
Straight
You
out
could
as
hear
well.
the impact of the
so,
tackle
wasn't
up here, and Healy certainly
I've got clear
felt it.
grasp in the tackle unless you have anything different.
Yeah, I think it was Cronin came in and chopped tackle, but I don't know, did he get his arms around?
We're always checking. And we got players down, so time off. Yeah, we're always checking.
That's
No,
ultimately
first-
the clearance
first
kick,
man
but
for
I
me.
think the
No, first man. First man for me, sorry. Anything different? Yeah, agree. Yeah, take him back. Tackle's fair. So we're going with the line out. Yo. Take him back. Yeah. Well, he feels second man, but not for me. I feel
Nothing
good
there in
turnover.
terms
Yeah.
of the tackle. That collision
Yeah,
between
your,
James Cronin
Leinster line out,
and
went out
Keane
on the
Healy.
full. Good grasp for me, but just be careful. Yeah, it was taken back. Yeah. Leinster line out, taken back.
So the clearance kick was
Yeah, here's
taken
on.
back into the 22,
Well,
which
pass
means
back,
that potential 60-yard
my
gain of
Pete.
ground is nullified, and this is a good
Pass right
subsequently
back, yeah.
attacking position from Leinster.
But look how flat they're taking, really running onto. But what
Tackle
you
was
didn't
fair.
see in that clip
Goal line out.
is the impact of Johnny Sexton earlier on,
Time back on.
and then following it up and getting his hands on it. That was a dead ball. If that had hit the deck, it was anybody's ball.
Oh, a lot of movement in there.
Good contest.
In the air.
Good
Who
contest.
comes up with the ball? It's Will Connors, the open side.
Stay.
And Maloney was there. Instead, they go to James Ryan. Really good game,
Don't hold
particularly in the
him.
second half against Ulster. Switch from 10 to 12. Henshaw comes back in on the angle and takes it from his captain. Here's Rhys Ruddock with a more direct approach, but he runs
Tackle!
directly into Dale Andy and Ryan. Two massive units.
Leave it.
Sexton now again. Keenan. And he manages to get
Last
beyond the
feet.
first tackle, which was Dale Andy.
Back onside.
Sexton now finds
Back
himself
onside.
wide on this right-hand side.
Onside.
Well, he certainly is the only one who
No.
get past Dale Andy, because he must be in double-figure tackles at this stage.
And he's in there again. Keane Healy seems to be okay
Stay here,
because he
last feet.
thunders in there for a clear out.
Good clean.
This is much more Leinster-like, if you like. Henshaw, and now they move it out to Ringrose. And there's a tackle from O'Mahony, and penalty coming here for Leinster.
Straight
Munster
off
off their feet.
Never support and wait. Stay up.
And they've worked hard for a golden opportunity for first points of the evening.
Well, it's really impressive, isn't it,
returning.
Conor? Because you think
Number
of the
4,
superb
number
Munster
19,
kick that put
blue.
Leinster right back 5 metres into their own corner, and they had two clearance kicks that brought them
Yeah.
to halfway
Yeah,
line,
time's
and they
off.
have just worked their way through multiple
Just
phases,
one
lots of
each side,
varieties, hitting the gain line. Dale Andy's a tackle machine, isn't
One
he?
each
And
side.
he doesn't
Tackle is
stop
rolling
then. He
out.
just
I'm
gets
not gonna
breaking his
penalise
feet.
him.
He's such
If
a
you're
nuisance
forcing
around
the
the
ball back
breakdown.
into him and
But
holding
you've got to
him
give
in,
credit
then
to
I'm gonna
Leinster.
penalise you,
A little
okay?
bit shell shock maybe in the opening.
One on Gavin, one on Rhys. Here, 2 6s. Shockled.
Yeah, no wonder he's breathing hard. It was interesting to hear Dale
Don't
Andy
hold
this week. He couldn't believe the tension
Yeah,
around
don't
the
hold him
dressing room
if he's
in the
trying to
two
get out,
games
mate.
earlier in the season.
All right.
Leinster versus Munster. He knew all about the derby, and he's played in big derbies,
But
of
if he's
course,
trying
in
to get
South
out, I'm not
Africa.
gonna
But
penalise him then, Rhys, okay?
he felt it was almost a unique sense of trepidation among the players. So much was resting on the games.
19.
He's a very relaxed character by
back
nature
off, yeah.
Yeah, 19 blue.
Thank you.
until he tackles you.
Not if you're in a blue jersey and you happen to have the ball. Like he chopped Gary Ringrose at one stage, and he's just chopping around all over the place. The only one to slip past him is the Hugo Keenan, the Leinster fullback, who has been making a habit of doing that, isn't he, in the last few weeks?
Yeah, that kind of impish running style. He's so elusive. So this for Johnny Sexton to take himself past the 1,500 points mark in a Leinster jersey. And to reduce the arrears to 7 points, which he duly dispatches with a minimum of fuss. Ten points to 3, 25 minutes. Very interesting game. The opening 20 minutes owned by Munster. Leinster finding their way slowly and purposefully back into it. Blood sub reversal. See Scott Fardy back in, so Maloney back on the bench.
Both sides have elected to go split kick, and Munster did likewise, splitting their forwards left and right of the kicker.
Keelan Doris.
Use
snared
it!
by Keith Earls.
Let's take him back.
7 Ireland caps for Keelan Doris, and so integral to Andy Farrell's plans over the coming Six Nations, you feel. Keith Earls, of course, at the other end of his Ireland spectrum, 84 caps and 30 tries in Ireland green.
Nice, lifted. Ball is lifted.
He is, of course, only 3
Hold in front.
tries
Stop.
short of the all-time Munster scoring record.
Yeah.
There was a kind of a momentary lull in play there, wasn't it, when Conor Murray picked from them, but he's very vulnerable. If he just stands there, he's going to get smashed.
Hold 10. Yeah, that's 10.
Very tight to the touchline over on that far side. Minimum of space to work in. Huge shout for it. Confident take from Hugo Keenan. He's certainly one of Ireland's standout players over the course of the Autumn Nations Cup on the back end of last season, and no doubt he'll be in the thick of things to come. Very interesting to see how that back three dynamic develops for Ireland over the coming weeks.
It's touched.
I'm not so sure where Sexton's frustration is coming from. Is it the selection of pass that went into his hands, or is his execution of the ball?
Let's get numbers
Maybe a bit
early,
of
please,
both.
Leinster.
But he's
Okay,
certainly
on the line,
driving his
Yukon.
team, isn't he, Conor? The last 7-8
Don't
minutes,
let
he's
him
been
hook us down.
driving them forward.
When he got the full 80 minutes,
minutes.
didn't he, against Ulster,
And 10.
which by my
Winger.
reckoning is the first time he's started and
Two
finished a
hooker,
game
two
and
hooker.
contributed the full 80 minutes since that Saracens quarter-final European game in April of 2019, I think it was. He was very effective in controlling the game against Ulster. Didn't really let them into the match
Tackle
at all.
move.
McGrath now multiple options, took the shortest one into Rhys Ruddock. Hands
you
on
lost it
from
now.
CJ Stander, couldn't quite wrestle it free though. McGrath, that's a little bit clever to Keenan again. Ringrose was coming in on the angle. Fardy back with us now.
Stay.
Cian Healy had to go low, and as soon as he stood up, he was staring into the whites of the eyes of Peter O'Mahony.
Hold in front, hold in front.
Sexton. Healy well placed, and he was up early, couldn't quite hold on to it, and opportunity now for Jordan Lorman with the knock-on advantage, kicks one through, and he's off in chase. He's got pace, but so does Keith Earls, and he's so good and so clever and quick in terms of that cover defending.
Well, what a kick from Johnny Sexton again. Beautiful height in it, but it just landed outside the 22, which made that catch a bit more vulnerable. No possibility of marking it.
Are we good? Okay, guys, time is on.
Look at this.
Time is on, let's
Beautiful.
go,
Up
please.
over, almost over the stands and lands just outside
Let's
the
go.
22, so it makes it very vulnerable
here?
for anyone who's coming in on that.
Happy here? Hookers? Fish one.
But what a line out. What an absolute cracking line out here.
I'm happy.
Rhys Ruddock off the top of the
I'm
line,
happy.
but watch
My
the line
eyes
Henshaw
happy.
takes.
That was only the
Line
first
in
corner.
lots of
Okay.
options available, no
Let's
one
get back
for
to what we're
sure,
doing.
but that's absolutely brilliant running from the Irish inside centre.
Here we go, go!
Required a brilliant line out, a brilliant set piece, and a super off the top of the line out.
Okay, feet strong, good heights.
Robbie Henshaw back in
Patience
try
and wait
scoring
for the ball,
form
fellas.
last week against Ulster. He got one against Ulster in the final, of course, as well.
Crouch! Bind! Nah. No space, both in, fully loaded. Let's go, guys. Same again. And let's get the
Prime
gap.
position here. What is the play?
We go. Now step left. Yeah. Let's go, boys. Straight through.
Good that side. I need space here,
In
guys.
this fixture down the years, James Lowe would have been standing on that left-hand touchline, and you know what the play would be then.
Seen it so many
Crouch!
times.
But James Lowe is not here, so maybe we'll see something
Bind!
different.
Well, we've got Jimmy O'Brien and Johnny Sexton having a good old chat just to the left of the scrum
Stay up
behind
one.
it. Very close
Stay
together.
behind.
Doris is controlling. A little bit of a shove on then from Munster, but they're
Advantage.
spinning over to the left-hand side. Now with the advantage, will that change the dynamic of the next
Advantage.
attack? Henshaw. straight and through. That's a big, strong carry. He got some purchase out of CJ Stander there, and on goes James Ryan. He gets beyond Peter O'Mahony. This is promising for Leinster now. Sexton, with that advantage, kicks one in, and he kicks it into the arms of Mike Healy. Back we go then.
Yeah.
It was a really good opportunity, but they will
under pressure.
still have the field position and the advantage of the penalty.
Agree.
I think, is he talking about
Decision, captain?
Munster loose head coming out?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, mate, but she'll come in if there's anything clear there. You okay? Okay, time off.
32 minutes on the watch and a Leinster line out.
Time off, guys. Got to play it down here.
He doesn't look particularly happy. I wonder, is he just taking a knock?
No, that's him actually happy.
We're always checking the captain there.
Well, he's always looking for improvement. Certainly, Tadhg Byrne is looking happier now. He's back to his feet after some medical treatment.
But certainly in the context of the clock and the competition, it's a big call for Johnny Sexton to go to the touchline. You expect it to have that ambition. It's a big moment in the game, isn't it?
They don't kick too many penalties. I think they're one of the lowest teams in the competition.
Give them a good gap, Munster, and I'll make sure they don't step across, okay?
Obviously, they feel that the line-out is functioning. It's a line-out which has had its problems and peculiarities this season. It's not always perfect.
Time back on.
So, looking again at the Munster defensive line-out, you got Tadhg Byrne at the tail with James Cronin.
No, on 3. So you're good as you are, guys, yeah.
Matching up his opposite man.
One at the back.
Doris and Ruddock at the front, and it goes over Scott Fardy, and there is one of those
away Munster!
Misconstrued lineouts. They didn't get it right, and they're fortunate to come up with a ball.
Can't pull him in,
Will it be one of those situations where Leinster take advantage of their good fortune and punish the opposition?
Last feet.
Rhys Ruddock now, Cian Healy in behind him, and Rhys Marshall in there as a roadblock, and on they go again. I think Tadhg Byrne is offside there. Advantage penalty coming here. McGrath wants it back a little bit quicker than that. It's slow. Ruddock. Connor's hand, Doris in there. A lot of big units. Andrew Porter, tricky man to stop from this kind of range.
Stay. 5.
A strong element of control as they try and get that wedge going. Caelan Doris now, can he get the extra
on the line?
Couple of feet, which it'll be all it takes.
The ball is out there, but no advantage. The ball is out there, no advantage. Number 1 and 5 offside.
Take your pick, Byrne or Cronin.
Well, the last line-out really malfunctioned, didn't it? It was a complete confusion. The pod didn't get up and the ball didn't arrive. So,
what do we got? Scrum called.
Looks like a scrum, yeah.
Scrum called. Wow.
Good, Sean.
Well, let's quickly jump across to Murray Kinsella. Murray, what have you made
guys,
of
time is on. Let's go, please.
The last 10 or 15 minutes in particular, the change in dynamic really in the game as we've seen it?
Okay, time
yeah,
back
Munster were
time
dominating possession and territory in the first 20 minutes. The
now,
scoreboard showed the result of that, but they've accumulated errors. You think of the James Ryan steal, they had an overthrown line out, a penalty against Cronin for high tackle, a couple of aerial errors from Haley, having been really reliable under the high ball early in the game. So Leinster have been able to wrestle back a bit of that momentum. You're now seeing those penalties rack up down in the 22, and the patience won't last too long here. So it's a massive moment now for Munster to hold firm here.
Okay, ready? Okay, time back on.
It certainly is. And how many times have we spoken about Leinster scoring in the dying embers of the first half and coming out with a very quick start to the second half?
I'm just thinking back to Chicago and the Irish scrum against the All Blacks, and Henshaw 12 scrum in this kind of position. A massive call to not go to the line out. The previous one obviously malfunctioned entirely. It was very rare you see that option.
Sit! Stay there. 1.
And so McGrath
use it!
Now Caelan Doris will use it. A little show and go. Didn't release. The Henshaw ball is there from McGrath. They keep it inside.
That's
That's
it.
really good from James Ryan. He made 3 or 4 metres there when he was on hands and
Turnover's
knees. And
good. Turnover was good.
Munster have turned that over. 5 minutes to half-time, right on their own try line. Tadhg Byrne, I think, is going to be last
the
up
first
here.
man. The
Reece
turnover's
Marshall
good.
is
He
in
didn't let
there
it go on the
too.
ground, guys.
All hands to the pump, but that is huge in the context of this first half and protecting that 7-point advantage.
5 first
Absolutely,
arriving player.
and the advantage
Didn't let
of
it go
not
on the
having a
ground.
crowd in Thomond Park, you could hear the reaction. But like that's two big questions. Leinster's attacking line-out malfunctioned, and their scrum, what certainly didn't malfunction, but it didn't result in a score. Huge moment in the fixture.
Yes, very interesting combination of factors. Here's the turnover.
When I say huge moment, I mean psychologically. You know, as Munster go into the dressing room, they say, hang on a second, they threw a line at us, they threw a scrum at us, and we
Leinster
had the
open,
match of them.
please.
Huge energy moment.
10 metres now, 9. 8 of you in. Okay,
And that's
2,
what
and everyone 10,
Leo
please.
Cullen was talking about, didn't he? Refer to the breakdown turnovers. That's the first one today.
What a crucial one. What a time to get it and what a place to get it. Oh, that didn't look particularly straight from this angle. Maybe it's the angle we're sat at. We're
Don't
Oh,
looking
change
down
now.
the pitch, but
Don't change.
Reece Marshall has done well to recollect, and here they go, that Munster maul now. It's really encouraging from a Munster point of view because multiple facets of their game right now
One
are
stop.
functioning very, very well.
Good
The
showing.
same at this moment in time can't be said of their opponents.
Tackle, release 8.
Doris over it, but he's dispatched in pretty
Use
typical
it.
fashion by Peter O'Mahony.
Isn't that great from Dale Andy, knowing the clock and just burning
5.
off the clock, just the confidence as a 12 to take that into heavy traffic, just burn the clock and knowing you're not going to lose possession.
And that was well done from O'Brien because he had to change his angle just at the last moment. Ball seemed to drift on him. Not so clever from Hugo Keenan. Looked as though he knocked it on though, yeah. A little bit.
Gracie, you need to have a word with 4 blue and 8 red who were grappling with each other and wouldn't let go for a long time. 4 blue and 8 red.
A little bit of a
Okay,
fracas
4,
off the ball. I must say I was
8
following
red.
the action as it was in the air and it was being fielded by Jimmy O'Brien.
I think
8.
that's the Dale Andy carry. Just brilliant. Like you can't think what's the value of
Guys,
that,
when
but
the
it's
ball's
huge.
gone away, we stop and we go
Oh
away.
yeah, I see it
Okay?
top of your picture,
Okay,
Scott Fardy and CJ Stander.
That's the message. Just don't play each other on the ground, the two of you. Thank you. Right. Crossy here.
Another way he could handle that is, can you write your reason for fighting each other in triplicate and post it to me? That's good refereeing, isn't it? Listen, just avoided any debate and just stop doing it.
Yeah, it's tight though. Don't go back in. Happy guys, are we good? Yeah. I know your point, but for
Couple
me,
of
like,
old war
I
horses
think it's no
going
harm.
at
I think it's no harm we emphasise the conditions again. It's really cold, and obviously there's a huge amount of snow come in. So
it's different.
10-3, I think it's been a fascinating first half.
Yeah, when we're ready, guys.
An awful lot been
Yeah,
thrown
yeah.
at each other. I think though Leinster will be disappointed, won't they? They worked their way back into the game. They bullied their way back into the game. Sexton drove his team in, but the 2 visits into the
Let's go,
22, it's
guys.
very unlike Leinster
we're ready.
to come out with nothing.
Well, that's the point. It's uncharacteristic because they are so clinical and ruthless. But
Okay,
then
time back on.
we spoke about the defensive effort from Munster down in Galway when they were set up with a very, very strong team, not massively dissimilar to what they have
Okay,
tonight.
left to the
Yes, they
mark, guys.
conceded a lot of penalties, which would have been a concern
Left,
against
left,
Connacht, but their defensive effort was very, very strong. Stander and Byrne and Sean Klein very effective. And they have shown that they can withstand what Leinster can throw at them thus far in any case.
Bind.
And that Tadhg Byrne
Set.
try
Good.
ultimately separating the sides, but it has been very, very interesting.
Use it.
Murray now to Hanrahan, had a little look to see where Shane Daly was and more importantly perhaps where Jordan Larmour
Take him
was.
back.
Tricky now for Keenan. No easy exit
It's a
route.
tackle now. And away, everybody.
Farrell and Hanrahan in there trying to make that a maul, but Leinster get the ground, albeit inside their 22. James Ryan.
That's twice James Ryan has slipped the first defender.
Take him back.
Yeah.
Real good ball carrying.
In behind Murray here, Healy. This time he's rock solid under that one. He was up early and took it cleanly, took it very well. Player who's been out of favour in terms of
Good contest.
Ireland squads. Last season, Six Nations and the Autumn Nations Cup. So much competition in that particular area, as there are in plenty. Munster back in control of things here.
Do not stand up there and interfere
Cheap
with the
penalty,
line.
isn't it? 39 minutes on the watch, trailing 10 points to 3.
Shot called.
Shot at goal here, chance to try and
Stood
re-establish
right
a
up in the player's
10-point
space and
advantage.
affected the 9. Don't stand up there.
Like from the moment they got that turnover penalty in the scrum, like Munster have managed the clock
There was
brilliantly,
less than a
haven't they?
minute left there, Bryce,
And
just
clearly,
for information.
this might be still, look, he tried to rob a yard, didn't he? But it might just be beyond his range, but still it's the right thing to do in terms of the clock, the scoreboard and the psychology of the fixture.
Two-time Golden Boot winner, of course, but what's impressive about JJ Hanrahan is if you look at his kicking stats overall over the course of the last 3 seasons since he came back from Northampton Saints, initially it was 70%, then it takes a jump to 78%, and now currently he's up around 86%. So
Yeah.
when you talk about the psychology of that turnover right on their own try line, massive fillip for this Munster side, and if they can just eke out another 3 points here, turn the screw, build that scoreboard pressure to take into the sheds at half-time, it could be massive for the second half. Oh, it seemed pretty good. Oh, just the accuracy is only a matter of inches out. It comes back off the upright.
Stay here.
Absolutely thumped that, did JJ Hanrahan. He had 10, 15 metres and more than that left in the tank, but just couldn't apply the accuracy on that occasion.
I totally understand your frustration, okay? I've missed it, and she's come in, and that's what the penalty's for. If you shout at me like that again, you'll leave the field.
Yes, it was the flying low tackle, wasn't it, that just took Robbie Henshaw out around the shins.
Yeah. That's 10, yeah. Number 2, Joy. 2.
How close
Come
was
on,
this?
Joy.
And give that absolutely loads
hold
off
the
the
10.
kicking tee, lots
Hold
to
the 10.
spare. There's the tackle from Reece Marshall.
Leinster, let's go, please. In you come. Yeah, let's come into form
Early
then.
slip, and
Let's come into form, please. Let's go, Leinster.
well, they've plenty to think about certainly at half-time. Leo Cullen, Stuart Lancaster and the brains trusted Leinster. As it stands, that solitary penalty from the boot of Johnny Sexton, the sum total of their efforts in the opening 40 minutes here. They've been largely held at arm's length by a very encouraging Munster display. Sexton wanted it, but they go back inside. The switch from Ryan back to McGrath. Doris was on his shoulder, and they recycle once more with Fardy. Now Cian Healy, or Andrew Porter rather, the tight head takes it on support from his second rows. Sexton. Ringrose now, a little bit of height on that, invited Chris Farrell out of the defensive line, but he missed his opposite number.
Feet.
Ryan again, this time up against Reece Marshall. Sexton poised.
They're not committing any red jerseys, really, are they? The red jerseys is keeping the full
No,
width
move.
of the pitch defensively.
Good.
Always wary of those dancing feet of Jordan
Advantage
Lorimer,
one,
particularly
please.
at Thomond Park and the history he has here. Big tackles continue to come in. Full defensive effort that time from Shane Daly.
Number 1, no release.
Now, this
Slow
is
and
an
quick ball.
interesting decision
Come forward
now.
5
3
metres.
points would be very helpful going into half time.
5 metres, Bracey.
But
On
does
the
Sexton
10.
want more?
Number 1, no clear release, preventing quick ball.
It's against James Cronin for slowing it down by not releasing.
There's a bit of a discussion, isn't there?
There's plenty of chat.
Shot called.
Yeah.
So we're looking at the potential, if he can measure this, of a 6-point swing, really.
Yeah, because Hanrahan's kick had more than enough distance, hadn't it?
Yep.
It was sailing through, but for the upright.
You can see the flags behind that goal to the right-hand side, almost perfectly still. Struck it low, but it looks good. One or two calls of assertion from his Leinster teammates, and that's a big moment in the game. Well into the red in terms of the clock, and Johnny Sexton reduces the arrears at half-time to just 4 points. It is so delicately poised after an intriguing 40 minutes of interprovincial derby rivalry at Thomond Park. Only 4 points in it at half-time. It's Munster 10, Leinster 6. Yes, all still very much in the melting pot then as we embark on the second 40 minutes here at Thomond Park. Really impressive display from Munster in the opening half. Damien Diolande very much at the forefront of that defensive effort, in particular when Munster were on the back foot, but they've played the lion's share of this game on the front foot, or at least controlled the tempo and direction of the game, standing firm in face of that Leinster onslaught right at the end of the half. And he has been absolutely terrific. He was superb in Galway as well. And we spoke about the last trial kind of aspect of this game, and certainly Tadhg Byrne is putting his hand up for selection for Ireland in the Six Nations. It's where do you play him potentially that may be an issue. Ireland do have their injury concerns in the second row, of course. They started against France, started against Italy.
Okay, time on.
So away we go for the second 40 minutes. A big 40 minutes for both sides, but a half of rugby where Leinster need to hit their straps. You could argue, although you would never say it in a Leinster-Munster match, that Leinster have more to lose here, because remember, in terms of that conference situation they find themselves in, they're trying to chase down Ulster.
Off blue, red ball. Full unless they state otherwise. Numbers early, guys.
Jordan Lormer unsure exactly of the geography of the pitch, and there was very little in it really, in truth.
Yeah, because the issue is you're not coming in, guys, so come in and hold. Leinster, open up. Thank you. 10 metres.
So this time they go to Klein at the front of that Munster line-out.
One stop. Don't change. 3. Don't change. He's never changed.
Andrew
Use
Porter's
it.
okay in there, provided he doesn't change his bind and give the referee issue to Pingham. Taken on with purpose from Marshall. A nice stander up against Fardy. John Klein in there very aggressively and physically on Scott Fardy.
It was very high, wasn't it, Conor?
Seemed to be on our angle in any case, and
Stay last feet.
Fardy quickly though back to his feet. No great deal of histrionics about it. Klein and
Use it,
Cronin
9.
there. Under pressure this time, Conor Murray. Was that kept in on the far side? Somehow it was, and picked up really well by Cronin. Munster have worked that unfavourable position pretty well. Peter O'Mahony's got his hands on it. Scott Fardy is in there on the wrong side, but Munster carry on with Coombs. Up into that Leinster 22, or very close to it now. Tagburn. Two number fives together. Big tackle from James Ryan, always working hard. Dale Endy just about held by Connors, and then Porter in there too. Stander running into Cronin, and Conor Murray on to Tagburn. Cronin this time, and Ruddock in his way with Cian Healy there too.
Two good carries indeed. Tagburn first and Cronin second.
And Farrell looking to do likewise. Bounced off Doris, but only as far as Ruddock. And there was Byrne again, and that's a little bit clever with Gavin Coombs in behind, and it gets yardage. And Stander this time stopped by Keelan Doris. Hanrahan, and now Farrell. Is there any kind of space over on that far side for O'Mahony? Does that really well, cutting back in. Peter O'Mahony might have picked up a little bit of an injury there. He's not altogether comfortable, but Munster carry on with Tagburn. There's that shoot out of the line from Will Connors, trying to chop his man down. Marshall. Dale Endy now, but he's smothered and suffocated pretty quickly by three Leinster tacklers. But has he created a little bit of space? It's slower ball. Murray just has a little look around, checking out those pillar defenders in Leinster blue. Dale Endy now. Munster have owned the ball for the 4 minutes since the restart. And can they come out with some points from this prolonged visit to the Leinster 22? Marshall again, he's carried well tonight and worked tirelessly.
Porter was definitely offside there.
The penalty coming.
Well in front of the last feet.
Klein and now O'Mahony.
Onside. Away tackler!
Murray now again into Klein. Two Munster lock forwards carrying a lot of ball and using that ballast they have from the 120 kgs of 6'8" John Klein.
You're okay. Three's not. Three is offside halfway up the ruck.
And both players offside, outside, and we're offside as well.
Now, Peter O'Mahony off camera has been carrying that left leg since the contact. I think Larmour went a little high over the far touchline. But he's been carrying that leg, and he's been battling away bravely.
Well, I was going to say,
the first break in play.
I was going to say he's showing no ill effects because he put his shoulder to the wheel a few times, but obviously there was some impact from that collision over there.
Actually, you can see O'Mahony there. That's the subsequent breakdown from the earlier play. And he just piled in there, but he's been kind of limping around ever since.
You just see him getting up there left of your picture.
Yeah, he was brought down by Larmour, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But the hit was, if anything, it was a little bit high. So I'm not I didn't quite see how he...
Pete, you all right?
But you think of Andy Farrell sitting watching this, what does he hope to get from this particular fixture? Well, he certainly hopes
no injuries.
You know, when people are saying that this is the final Irish trial, it would be very surprising if the Irish management don't have their starting 22 of 23 players already penciled in for this game, not just for the upcoming game, but for a couple of games. But certainly he wants to see someone like Peter O'Mahony playing well and coming off uninjured. Ditto to Sexton and that. There seems to be a couple of maybe positions in flux.
Just in here, mate.
Well, certainly Tagburn, without continuing to beat that drum, has done his selection favours no harm whatsoever. Let's see if we can see on closer inspection the...
Yeah, it seemed to have caught his left leg, didn't he? Just as he was going down on the deck. Yeah, it will be very interesting. Wonder where he goes with Tagburn or not.
The extra dynamic, of course, of Paul O'Connell in there to add his intellectual property to that area of Ireland's backroom staff. Now then, more pressing matters for JJ Hanrahan here, having seen his last or most recent one come back off the upright. This would be a great start to the second half. He's left that one out to the right-hand side. That's a poor kick by his standards, and
Take a step back.
another missed opportunity.
Take a step.
Like, if you think back to the closing stages of the first half, those turnover lineouts and scrums, huge energy. Missing that penalty has the complete opposite effect, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, particularly when you've worked really hard for 5 or 6 minutes down in the opposition 22 to carve out that opportunity and capitalise on it with some points in what looks as though it will be a tight game right to the wire.
Use it!
Very evenly balanced. Lots of height on that and hang time from Murray.
Back off Blue.
It's come back off Jordan Larmour.
That's 3 box kicks Murray has put up into Larmour's box kicks, and each time they weren't managed.
Came back off Blue.
Yeah,
I thought it's very clever play from the Munster scrum half to kind of say, well, whoa, I think there's an area we can exploit. So that's 3 in a row, and none of them have been managed properly.
and it results in a Munster penalty and an opportunity for some line-out pressure down in that Leinster 22, the kind of position from where Munster have scored so many tries this season.
Yeah. Huh? Let's go, Munster, let's go. Yeah, and stay 10.
So what can they bring to the table from this position?
No, he's receiver.
Is it O'Mahony? Oh, it's been stolen by James Ryan.
Ball!
Leinster's second row.
Don't change!
Really good contest. Seemed to read it almost and was up very early in front of the Munster open side rather.
Take him back, 9. Take him back.
Good distance on that from McGrath. There was good kick chase though as well from Larmour, which made life less than straightforward for Shane Daly. Up it goes this time from Murray. And just a yard or two in front of Mike Healy. Couldn't quite make up the ground. Keelan Doris now. Andrew Porter in there. Leaves it instead for his scrum half, and here's
Stop.
Sexton. Keith Earls underneath this one. Can he find a little way through the traffic? Tackle from Hugo Keenan. And there's another breakdown penalty, and it's a pattern that's evolving.
Never supporting your weight. Stay up.
You heard Leo Cullen speak about it pre-game. They'll have worked on it all week, but that's really good work.
Like, the battle of the game is really in flux, isn't it? There's no one dominating at the moment. Both sides are clocking up errors. They're missing opportunities.
And the substitution raid number 2.
Yeah.
I think it looked like Porter wasn't supporting his own body weight. It certainly didn't look like he was supporting his own body weight. Great play from Coombs and Klein, trying to snap the knees down to make sure that that's what the referee saw.
Yeah. Niall Scannell is in for Reece Marshall. Now Hanrahan, Dealende. Well watched by Will Connors. Good read in defence from the Leinster open side, but all the impetus at this moment in time is being carried by Munster. 10 minutes of the second half, and the penalty's going to go the other way this time.
Same as up there. Holden. Same as over there for me, Holden.
Twice in a row now, Munster they had a dummy runner flying and then pulled it out the back, and both times they got the gain line. Really good purchase. That was a really important turnover steal from Fardy and Leinster.
Ten minutes in to the second half, as it was in terms of the scoreboard at half-time. Murray Kinsella, what have you made of the opening exchanges of the second period?
Munster really frustrated that there's no return, but we are seeing a little bit of that variety in their attack. Those stacks we spoke about before the match, just see Will Connors drawn onto Ty Byrne there, and it allows Gavin Coombs to use his power to get over the gain line. Then a nice bit of width on the ball, using the back line. There's Shane Daly getting the ball. Peter O'Mahony's role is to hold that width and challenge up the left hand side. That led to a penalty, the pressure, and they really should have scored 3 points. But nice to see that variety from Munster.
Ronan Kelleher and Ed Byrne in for Leinster. We're starting to see the first of the changes as the head coaches look to freshen things up, and big collision again around the fringes, and Stander there on the defensive errors, confirmation of those switches in the front row. Oh, that's a good contest forward. O'Mahony right in there in the thick of things, did enough to get that back on the Munster side. Hanrahan didn't have a huge amount of options there, just decided to pop one in behind for Daly to try and chase down. Taken by Jimmy O'Brien, and Will Connors now a couple of good carries from the open side. Ringrose now delays the pass, sucks in the cover of Earls, and there's O'Brien, but he was tracked all the way. Tag Byrne, huge work rate as Conor Murray somehow acrobatically managed to snuff that out and turn it over for Munster. That's brilliant from the Munster, Ireland and Lions scrum half.
Use it!
And as a consequence, he was a little bit late getting back to his feet, and now sends up the box, dropping right on the 10-metre line. Earls underneath it. Leinster ball, now Larmour, can he wriggle his way through and find some space? Kicks one in behind. Oh, really tricky one for Healy. And he's going to be dumped behind his own try line.
Take him back, scrum 5.
Oh, big advantage from Leinster after Munster had turned it over, then under the high ball, they couldn't retrieve it.
It was an impossible ball to pick up, wasn't it? Connor coming across was a super little chip through from the right winger out on the left. Oh, it was impossible. There was bobbling around there, and a great flow in from blue jerseys.
This is the steal from Murray.
Look, if anyone is interested in how important this fixture is to some of the key players, that kind of hunger from Conor Murray is especially good. But leading up to that breakdown, Ty Byrne chased back, didn't he? I can't remember who a Leinster player, I can't remember who it was, but chased back to make the tackle. So there's a lot of the big players are standing up now.
I think it was Jimmy O'Brien. Meantime, some interesting changes from a Munster point of view. Couple in the front row, but Ben Healy is in as well at fly half. So JJ Hanrahan called ashore 53 minutes in. That's a big call from Johan van Graan.
You wonder, was that a preordained concept? Is that down to what we've seen in the last couple of kicks at goal? With a 4-point spread, any opportunity, Munster need to get the reward for it. Yep. Likewise for Leinster, of course.
I think he's going 10. Captain.
And so,
but like this guy, I'm delighted to see this guy back. He is one of the great ball carriers in Irish rugby. Back from injury. In fact, the Munster bench starting front row arguably is as good as the Munster bench starting front row.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. Come on.
So, two changes in the outside halves then.
New personnel, guys. Real patience and wait for me, okay? Nothing changes.
So Gary Ringrose, you would imagine, will overtake the captaincy duties, but what a position this is from Leinster, from that little kick through from Larmour, all the pressure on Healy, and
bind.
Really important juncture in the game with those significant changes.
Just allow him to get a bind, guys. Okay, let's go again.
Further injury concerns for Johnny Sexton and for Leinster and Ireland. Opportunity though for Ross Byrne, and indeed what a game for Ben Healy to come into, particularly with it so finely balanced.
Crouch! Bind! Sit! Come off.
Open this side. 18 too long.
Okay, come to me. Well, none of you are good enough there because you're all on the floor. So let's get your feet underneath you, please, guys, and better heights. Come on, it's been good. It's been good till now.
Come on, energy. Come on, let's go. Let's go, boys. Yeah, let's go.
Cian Healy poised to add to his 104 Ireland caps over the coming weeks. 100th against France.
Crouch.
I think he only needs one more to join level with John Hayes in terms of Ireland's most cap ever prop forward.
Stay there. What? Loose head up.
Doris protecting, and it's there for McGrath sniping.
Ball is out.
Oh, ball was loose there, and a frenzy on the floor to try and win it back. Was it Rhys Ruddock who seized upon it to make sure Leinster maintained their advantage in possession?
Last feet. Okay, onside.
So Kelleher, who got that try in the semi-final, remember. They'll keep it in the tight here.
No, onside.
Seen them so many times from this kind of position. Just execute really, really efficiently.
On the line.
We've also seen Munster turn them over from this position in the first half. Oh, that's a really good shunt from the Munster pack of forwards. Stephen Archer in there.
Onside, step.
Burn almost invariably getting through a mountain of work, but they're put to the pin of their collar here. The Munster rearguard against this Leinster attack. Oh, Tadhg over it. That blue scrum cap, he's got his hands on it. They're crying turnover, and he's got it. And that is another massive, but what a game he is having. I'll tell you what, he is loving it tonight.
Wow, the psychological impact that is going to have. That is the third massive visit Leinster have had on the Munster line, and each time they've been pushed back. Huge moment in time. Brilliant, brilliant defence. But I think the double hit, I think the front row, the Munster front row around the fringes have made a big impact, haven't they?
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
Like Archer came flying through, didn't he, and others, and then you have Tadhg Byrne, who's just is sniffing. He's watching those players ahead of him, and he's just sniffing for the opportunity. Once the blue jersey hits the deck, he's all over it. Huge moment.
Yeah, his timing and his read of...
and that's a great clearance kick, by the way. Jeez.
Yeah.
That's a pure class clearance kick. Like from a flagging forward to get that turnover, and then to say, oh, that's where the next line out is.
Yeah.
Massive moment.
Yeah, to turn around and see that not on your 22 is where you might expect it, and you've got an extra 15, nearly 20 metres of purchase.
Knock on range, knock on range.
Loose from O'Mahony. It wasn't perfect by any means in terms of the cohesion.
Okay, tackle now.
Hands the incentive back to Leinster, but they're driving them back. John Klein has made a lot of big hits. There's been a lot to admire about the physical contest here. That's good again from Henshaw. He's in a really rich vein of form. Ross Byrne now. Oh, that's brilliant from Larmour. Good exchange. Jimmy O'Brien puts
one in behind. That's a horrible ball again, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really messy ball. And they've done well to... and it stays in field.
Good chase line.
Only just from Keenan. Daly is there.
Hold there.
Conor Murray collects and puts it down into that Leinster 22. Keenan had stayed on the ground after the collision with Daly, and that's really tricky for McGrath against Keith Earls.
Hold Leinster.
And he did exceptionally well.
It's hotting up now, Conor, isn't it?
Pretty frantic passage of play.
A few players injured there.
I'm off.
Andrew Brace had a clean line aside of that.
Go for the ball, charge down. Yeah, we've checked it.
And is happy enough with it.
Yep.
That was my view live as well. Yeah.
It's edge of the seat stuff, isn't it?
Yes, you just get the feeling really now heading into the final quarter with the changes. It's almost crying out for somebody to wrestle kind of control of the game and take it by the scruff of the neck. But
yeah, well, you looked at the ratio on the break on the bench. Obviously, Leinster have an extra forward by ratio, but you always looked at that Munster front row bench and you go, they're going to make a difference when they come on, and they have. The line out both sides though, it hasn't been the most settled. Like James Ryan had a great steal. earlier on, and just a couple of bobbling balls,
Sorry.
a couple of crooked line out as well. It's just not settled, isn't it? And that's for both sides.
I'm just waiting to see if
we need a change of some description
Jimmy
here.
O'Brien's going to be able to continue. He's clutching that left hamstring.
Yeah, and the number 11 is going to come off there.
Okay, number 11. Time is off, guys.
Now they're going to have to make a change.
Guys, well, I'm waiting for your player to come on.
So,
Yes, isn't that brilliant? James Ryan was getting very hot under the collar, and Andy Brace, the referee, says, I'm waiting for your player to get sorted.
Now, we spoke about that 6-2 split, and that injury to Jimmy O'Brien means that Jamison Gibson Park is going to have to come in. So, by no means ideal or part of the larger plan, but certainly that looks like a hamstring injury for Jimmy O'Brien.
Nice double hit.
Ball there, leave it. Ball there.
Yeah, they've fronted up and then some tonight. That is for
Use it,
absolutely
9.
sure. There's always going to be a arm wrestle in the trenches type of game after the flurry of snow and the tricky conditions. Confirmation of that switch.
7. Good, yeah.
Now Healy has a little bit of a time to assess the options.
All on.
Oh, that looks very good. That looks very, very good. That is perfect, and they do not get any better than that.
Like, they're 2 quality kicks in a row. Henshaw's clear and wiper kicks, superb.
blue,
But this is
number
top
7.
drawer stuff. Absolutely top
7,
drawer
guys.
stuff.
7 off. Blue, 7.
Yeah.
That is just pure quality,
Come
and
on.
it's
Blue,
and then
7.
like, you know what's happening now with the game with 20 minutes or so to go? It's kind of a clear tactic to say make it the other team's problem.
Numbers,
Just get
guys.
into the opposition half. Obviously, if you're 4 points up, you have a little bit of a luxury, but that's really clever play from Munster.
Guys, well, you're both getting
So
frustrated.
back
'cause you're
row
not finding each
change
other's
as well
numbers,
for
so let's
Leinster.
get
Van der
please.
Fleer in.
Okay, come on.
So
Disappointing for Jimmy O'Brien.
Gibson Park is on the left
2
wing,
meters.
obviously. So it's
Ball! Stop!
Well, you always say he's that kind of intuitive park player. He could
Leinster to
play
ground
anywhere.
cross.
Let's
Yes.
see how he fares on the wing.
Leinster to ground.
And there's that
Use it!
aggression from the Munster bench. Principally Kilcoyne. Good to see him back in action. Good to see Niall Scannell as well when we're talking about Ireland selection issues in the coming weeks. It's
Okay.
Munster ball. Eventually we got there.
Off the shoulder, yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're dominating territory and possession.
Good gap, please. It's good, 1 metre. 10 metres, 9. Push back.
Pressure into points
Good
is
contest.
all
Good
important.
contest.
Really was a good contest, and in the end, from a couple of fingertips, it's into Gavin Coombs. Conor Murray was keeping that Leinster rear guard honest, sucking in some of the cover. CJ Stander, who's gone a little bit quiet for the last few moments. And there's a big double hit that time on Klein. Josh van der Fleer itching to get off that bench, as you could see. Chris Farrell running into Scott Fardy. Stander again, met with a really solid challenge though.
Now on the ball.
Healy now, what can he bring to proceedings? Healy and now Dialende. Really good drive again. Look at this from
Tackle,
Munster.
Tackle!
Great support
Ball
play.
is there on the Munster player.
he must have a switch in his back. There's a flick to second row or tight head when he goes into contact, because he's an absolute beast of a 12, isn't he?
Yeah, he just pumps those big legs, gets the quads working, low body position. Now Healy back inside, and was Healy hit a little bit late there? It was Rhys Ruddock
Ball is out.
put him on the Munster fly half. Ball is loose, and there's a Leinster penalty now, and McGrath senses the urgency and just tries to change things up a little bit. Keenan now. Leinster have made up huge ground off the quick thinking of their scrum half. Now, is there anything around the edges that they can shift the ball? Straight up the middle of the park now. Ross Byrne.
Hold.
Gibson Park. Healy.
No. Use it, 9.
2 or 3 players on each side. They're breathing very heavily as that kick goes up again from Murray. Good check from Henshaw. He's had a really solid game. Dale Endy through the middle, really scrappy, bouncy, bobbling ball, falls to Rhys Ruddock. Ed Byrne into contact, and now McGrath to Ross Byrne.
Last feet.
No way through that time for Ross Byrne. Good challenge from Keith Earls, and look at that hunger and appetite for the physical exchanges again from Munster. Tireless work. Leinster can't find a way through. They're reduced to kicking, not on their terms, and down into that Munster 22.
What Munster have done brilliantly in defence is they've sucked loads of Leinster ball carriers and supporters into the breakdown, and Ross Byrne just ran out of options. He had 2 guys on his outside, and the previous play, Fardy was the left-hand touchline, and they're just running out of numbers. They're having to commit so many players to the breakdown, through Munster doing some great defensive work in that sense.
And the replacement, blue number 4.
Ball out, and then he's holding on the ground.
Let's jump across very quickly to Murray Kinsella. Murray.
Yeah, really interesting to see Jamison Gibson Park coming on the wing. I suppose that's the risk of your 6-2 bench with injuries in the back line, but so far he's done pretty well. He's obviously got a lot of backfield space to cover. You saw his instincts there though when Luke McGrath took the quick tap straight onto his shoulder, and then in the back line trying to put that kick through. He's obviously got an awareness of the defensive setup as well, but interesting challenge for him. Interesting to see also if Munster go after him.
Absolutely. That is the gamble. That unfortunate injury to Jimmy O'Brien. Gavin Coombs, meantime, has gone off. Jack O'Donoghue is in. And he'll want to make a big impression as well. Ross Maloney for Scott Fardy as well. So the bench has been emptied. The game still, as you were, from half-time, and in the balance and there for either of these 2 sides.
Hold 8.
Oh, just off the boot of Gary Ringrose and out on the full.
I have you.
Still alive. Ball's still alive.
Just hold it there, Sean, yeah.
Ball dead.
Yeah, you could see him looking at it anxiously after he connected with it. Not the purchase he wanted on it by any means.
I'm sure all the viewers at home could pick up Conor Murray shouting, "It's out, it's out, it's out."
He's been in the wars tonight. He kind of always is, though. That's the nature of the game he plays on the edge.
Yeah, but himself and Klein and Tyke Byrne have really hit. They've latched on. They've done an awful lot of heavy donkey work.
Yeah.
Like Klein does some amount of work that it's sometimes it seems as like he's miles away from the ball, but it's so important when he comes in and clears out.
Well, they've put themselves in the position to get this vital win. No, he's not happy with what he's seen. Not happy maybe with his situation as well. Not sure about the extent of an injury, if there is one, or was it precautionary.
Like you got to give him credit. Like he put his team into a lot of very advantageous positions, and just the set piece didn't function for him in many ways. And you got to give credit to Munster for that, obviously, for doing the damage, particularly a scrum. And you know, we always knew that the bench was going to have the Munster bench, that is, was going to have a massive impact. And you also felt that the 6-2 split on Leinster bench potentially was a risk.
9. Hold!
So again, that's clever play from Munster, going to the front, securing the ball, just slowing down the clock, dictating the tempo, and just killing off the game, suffocating the game.
Peter O'Mahony straight up off the floor, having had some medical attention, throws himself straight into Andrew Porter. 2 of the last 3 games, Leinster have fashioned a win by scoring 1 try and keeping Munster tryless. You wonder, will the tables be turned? Will 1 try, that try from Tyke Byrne, be enough if Munster can keep Leinster tryless in the game? 15 minutes to go. There's some fresh legs from
Last
Jack
feet,
O'Donoghue.
last feet.
Very keen to make an impression. He's been very good in the Pro 14 this season. Virtual ever present, really. Scannell. Murray dictating the tempo and pace of the game. Taken on now by Farrell, running straight at Ross Byrne. There's that man Klein again.
Hold.
This time it's Archer.
Away!
Jack O'Donoghue on his shoulder.
Tackler!
And they've done this well tonight, Munster. They're dictating terms.
And the man controlling it all really is Conor Murray, isn't he?
Yeah, he's been excellent. It's a little bit of a gamble from Healy, but ball is secured and it's back with the aforementioned Munster scrum half. Good hands from Jack O'Donoghue.
That's his first carry in anger, isn't it?
Dave Kilcoyne. Murray decides there's not too many options, so to stick it in behind into the Leinster 22 is a reasonable one at this point in the game.
Like, look what Murray has done in over the course of the 60-odd minutes. His opening 20 minutes was all action, gain line, around the tail of the line out, giving opportunities, speeding up the game. Now it's all about controlling the field position, controlling the tempo, just leading by example, and just threading those little through balls in, American football style. Just get that 10, 15 metres, keep the pressure on Leinster. Really clever management of the game from Conor Murray.
So Finnan Wheatley is in, and it's Peter O'Mahony who goes off.
Hold! Yeah.
Leinster line out taken by Ross Maloney. As that sleety, drizzly Limerick rain descends again. McGrath, good turn of pace.
Stay, still in, still in!
Somebody has to light the torch for Leinster, really, you feel, if they're to put themselves in a position to get back in front in this game. It's been so very, very tight. Even though Munster have monopolised possession, still that one score between them. Ross Byrne now.
Just on me, Bracey.
Offside, 19.
Just in front, just come up the pitch as well.
Richard was offside.
19, never onside.
Replacement for blue number 6.
Blue 6, guys.
You can see in that replay there's 3 Leinster jerseys on the deck, 1 Munster jersey, and that's kind of a story of the night. I know when you're the ball carrier has to be supported and you can't avoid him, but Leinster have had to commit lots of resources to the breakdown.
Jack Conan is in. Rhys Ruddock is off. Leinster almost up to that Munster 22.
Just take a step, Finnan.
Interesting to see now, will they rearrange the back row as a result of that? Will Conan go in at 8?
Numbers?
He has come off the bench already this season into the 6th slot, hasn't he?
Thank you.
Yeah. Gallagher all the way to the tail corner, and Ryan, and now there for Luke McGrath. Henshaw taking it on again, really, really confidently. Ding through by Ross Byrne, and the hands. Now Lormer's in here. Jordan Lormer with a try for Leinster. And having been on the back foot for the lion's share of this second half and been dictated terms to, as they typically do out of almost nothing, Leinster come up with a try, and it's Jordan Lormer who puts them in front.
Further confirmation the importance of getting your line out right with a back line like this, and there's a potential for anything. And when you have a winger at the end of it all with that type of dancing feet, quality score.
Good hands from
Like
Keane.
they haven't been in the game. They haven't been in the game for the last 15 minutes.
The little grubber through as well, changing things up, and well, it's paid dividends for Leinster. And how important and crucial could that be in the context of the entire season for both these teams? 2-on-2, and then Keenan, that's really good. He makes it look easy. And in the end, it is relatively straightforward for Lormer, just to dot it down and from nowhere. Crucial 5 points with the conversion to come. Really difficult angle as the rain comes down, but he's measured that really well. Brilliant strike from Ross Byrne. 11 out of 11 this season. He hasn't missed a kick in the Guinness Pro 14. And that is a massive 2 points to add to the 5 applied here by Larmour. Tables turned at Thomond Park. Now, it goes without saying what a 10 minutes this is. Munster must be absolutely seething to have coughed up a score. And we did mention the 4 point advantage could be snuffed out at any second.
Take him back. Hold, stop.
And as you said, a little bit of a almost cruel irony that it came from that set piece, from that unreliable line out. Here's O'Donoghue. Munster just need to get back up to full throttle again pretty quickly.
Wait.
Murray. Is there a strong kick chase? It's been led by Jack O'Donoghue, spilled by Luke McGrath. Munster will get the ball back here, you feel.
But Munster have got huge return, haven't they, from the box kick down that touchline. Regardless of who seems to be coming in to field it, they've really struggled, Leinster, to soak up this. Got a massive return.
Yes, and that's where is the premium attached to that tactic. We spoke about the fact that in the 13-3 game, the semi-final, they kicked and kept the ball infield 26 times, only got 5 back. It's been a different story tonight.
Good heights. Happy here. Strong left side.
Let's go, Azzy! Let's go!
I'm just trying to recall how many times we've seen Leinster get in behind Munster in those kind of positions. Tonight they've been few and far between.
Coach! Bind! Sit! Stay up.
Now that Munster needs some pretty big characters to step up and stand. Murray has been so effective and good tonight. How much do they have left in the tank?
And away now.
How much will Leinster be galvanised by that 7-pointer?
No, it's off the
ball
foot.
Just trapped under the leg of Finian Wycherley in there, made it slow for Conor Murray. As a result, CJ Stander was set up as a pretty big target. Scannell this time into contact. 74th minute. Healy. Daly gets his pass away. O'Donoghue, full of purpose. Good aggressive carry. Oh, tag Byrne. He is livid with himself. Just took his eye off it momentarily. There was 1 or 2 big Leinster units coming into his peripheral vision.
It's a shame because he's had a massive game, isn't he?
Yeah.
Like the couple of turnovers he's got.
Okay, let's go, guys. Time is on. Let's go. Time off.
Yeah.
It's just a feeling that they're kind of chasing the game, that was such a sucker blow of a try to concede and a great conversion from the touchline, that they're just chasing it a little bit, where they were in a comfortable zone for about 15 minutes or so, weren't they?
Yeah, it was clear grasp.
Game in the melting pot. Let's have a little look at that try with Murray Kinsella.
Yeah, brilliant set piece strike from Leinster. Off the top of the line out, they throw to the tail. Henshaw's going to carry on the first phase, nice and direct, just condense those defenders. Just watch Ross Maloney, similar to what Munster did before, that little stack, and then Ringrose, really important line just to briefly hold Chris Farrell. He's a little bit late getting across. Ross Byrne has a bit of time in the ball, and then brilliantly finished. But 2 great decoy lines off the ball.
Connor. Cheers.
Yes, that's that incisive nature of this Leinster team. It's what they can do, and if a picture paints 1,000 words, that was it from Peter O'Mahony. So Conor Murray has gone off.
Good binds, good height. Okay.
Craig Casey is in now in harness alongside Ben Healy.
Balance.
Seconds.
What can he bring to the party for? Well, he's only got 5 or 6 minutes, but it doesn't take him long to get up to the pitch of the game, and you'll be able to hear him up here. He's full volume.
Stay behind the ball.
Henshaw strong again. That time on Dialende. Ryan misses the dart from Dave Kilcoyne. Doris and Van der Fleer together. Jack Conan in there too.
Onside.
Haley's got to come an awful long way to try and judge that. Did so brilliantly. Really good stuff from the Munster fullback now, Casey. From a standing start, Kilcoyne.
Yeah. Use it, 9.
Casey took his time and he had protection. He was still under considerable pressure. Big hit from Wycherley on
Use
Keenan.
it. Hold.
Haley again solid under that dropping
6,
ball.
stop.
Nothing easy tonight in these conditions. Luke McGraw's done really well there. Ross Maloney. Seconds ticking away
Okay,
for
onside.
Munster to try and wrestle back possession and
Everybody
get
on,
himself
yeah?
back on
Use it
terms
now.
here. Haley again just managed to get beyond Gary Ringrose.
Ball is out.
Casey now.
Ball is clearly exposed.
Casey once more, he's got plenty of height on that. Can the chasers get up in time?
Advantage.
Oh, loose ball, it's Van der Fleer who's quickly onto it. Ball's been knocked forward by a Munster hand.
Advantage over.
Ross Byrne. Everything going to Mike Healy.
Hold.
Yeah, that's another very, very good kick. Now, can they apply the pressure here? Really good from the fullback. He's kicked extremely
We're
well.
on it, mate, yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
Guys, stop shouting at me, okay? Otherwise I'll penalise you. Simple.
Not a lot Ross Byrne could do about that whatsoever.
Yes, on the timekeeper. Yeah. Yeah, good as you are. 1 metre. Yeah, yeah,
So Kelleher goes to James Ryan.
yeah. One stop.
And again with McGrath, they just get it out of there, just clear their lines.
Yeah.
Only a couple of minutes to go, 13
line,
points
Leinster.
to 10. Time to get Liam Tolan's Guinness
Leinster
Player of
on
the
the
Match
line.
tonight, Liam.
Well, massive moments made this an extremely tight fixture, didn't it? It's exactly what we wanted. And the very heart of all that was in the second row, Tyg Byrne, who is tonight's Guinness Player of the Match.
10 metres.
And it looked for long periods as though his try in the first half from close range might be enough to
Fine, just a tackle. Stay there.
allow Munster to see out this game and get
Use
that
it!
much sought after win. But now here we are with fewer than 2 minutes to go,
onside.
and Leinster look poised to make it 5 consecutive wins over their arch rivals, record equaling 5 in a row,
And away now.
unless Munster can come up with something pretty special here. O'Donoghue, good tackle from Conan. Healy to Keith Earls, who hasn't seen too much of it. Haven't really got the ball to the edge as much as they might have liked, but they've still got time. Been forced back just a little bit. Oh, that was close from Ben Healy, and now from Dialende. And it's the Springbok World Cup winner who coughs up possession. An unforced error. He'll be very disappointed with himself,
cheers.
and that might just be that. Now, have Leinster done enough with that 7-pointer.
45, let's go.
Like the big performers, like it's been a massive game of forwards, isn't it? Those
Time
big
off.
moments in
Let's
the closing of the first half. Dale Landy's been
Time
huge.
off.
He's opposite
We're not
man.
going to run down the clock.
Henshaw's been absolutely huge. Luke
is
McGrath's had a
tough.
massive
It is.
game. Conor Murray, I thought, was probably his best game of
Let's go,
in a
Leinster.
long time. He did super performance. But really, it's in the front five. Those big
ready?
moments happened in the front five, and the couple of turnovers that Tyke Byrne got really kept
Okay.
Munster
Time will go back
going
on.
forward.
Time on. Let's go. Time on.
And you do wonder if Leinster had a crisper first phase with the backline they had out tonight and the mood that they were in.
Crouch.
It might have been a different fixture, but you got to give credit to Munster for
Bind.
negating that.
Set.
Well, is there room from a big shunt from the Munster forward pack here on one final twist? It's rock solid from Leinster. Look at the clock. It's up your picture. There we go, over the 80.
Away now.
Jordan Lorimer's try. Sneak Leinster a
Wait.
point in front, converted by Ross Byrne.
It's your own foot.
Are we poised for a 5th consecutive win for Leinster? And the only team to win in any competition against Munster at Thomond Park for nearly the last 4 years have done it again.
Well done.
For so much of this game, and you can see by the expressions on the faces of the Munster players, Jack O'Donoghue and all his teammates, they were in control. They seemed to have wrestled enough of an advantage to get one over on their arch rifles, but Leinster, as they so often do, almost out of nothing, just conjured that 7-pointer, that little bit of a breakthrough, and ultimately Leinster now have come to Thomond Park and reinvigorated their season. Final score, Munster 10, Leinster 13. And what a victory that is. It completely changes the complexion of the conference, where Leinster are chasing down Ulster. Yes, Ulster still have the advantage, but all about Leinster winning their games in hand, and this was always going to be difficult, particularly when you saw the team that Munster had out, and Leinster have done that. But, well, you can't help but feel a little bit sorry for Munster, because they put themselves into the position. They worked tirelessly in every single aspect of their game, and they were in the box seat right up until that point where the game was flipped on its head by that try from Jordan Lorimer, Liam.
Well, it was, but you kind of, we said it in commentary, didn't we? The couple of missed kicks from Munster, how cruel that is. You got to get a reward when you're playing against a quality side like Leinster. You got to take your points when they come along, like they did, like what they did on their own, in their own 22 defensively and on their own goal line defensively against like the scrum, the line-out turnover, clearing their decks. Needed more scores, and they got 2 opportunities to take those scores, and they missed it. Like they lost the game by 3 points, and they missed 6 kickable points.
Yeah. Similar story in the semi-final, of course. A little bit of deja vu in terms of those 2 penalty kicks that went to begging at the Aviva. Had they gone over, they would have gone back to within a point. But it's a bitter pill for Munster to swallow, albeit they're still in control of their conference. But interested to hear the thoughts of Murray Kinsella on how that game developed towards the end.
Yeah, it's a sickening one from Munster. They did loads of things right that really should have got them the win. As Liam said, they missed that penalty down the 22, kickable one. Another came off the post, literally a matter of inches. That's the kind of game it was. They did have more variety in their attack, and the box kicking tactics actually worked particularly well, constantly. A couple of line out of hiccups, and then the moment of class from a championship side like Leinster. They're champions for a reason. They find a way to win, and on that occasion it was a beautiful line-out play. They didn't have to do a whole lot more in attack, but when they got their chance, they took it really clinically. Brilliant little cameo from Ross Byrne off the bench with a kick, and then Keenan, a moment of class. They always find those moments with the quality of player they have. But I think when Munster look back on this, as I say, they're going to have huge regrets about not taking what felt like their best opportunity in a number of years.
Absolutely, yeah. All the talk this week was that momentum, leaving aside that defeat to Ulster and Belfast, but going back to the victory in Claremont, the really good, strong win over Quins here, the fact they won 7 out of 7 in the run-up to those European games in the Guinness Pro 14. And well, they had to wait 4 weeks to get Leinster here, and ultimately, from a winning position, it's been taken away from them. But as Murray said, you know, you don't win by fluke and you don't score points like that. It's the mark of a championship winning side, and a decorated side such as Leinster are, that from almost nothing they can carve out that one incisive move. But I think we're going to hear now from the Guinness player of the match. Tadhg Byrne is standing by with Shane Dawson.
Tadhg, commiserations on the result, but you are the Guinness player of the match, and we have CJ Slander here to present you with your medal.
Thanks.
Tadhg, as I say, obviously not the result Munster would have wanted. What's the initial emotions coming off the pitch there? Is it frustration, disappointment?
Yeah, big time. I think we just left a lot out there. I think we pretty much felt like we had most of the possession for the majority of the game, and felt like we defended them quite well. A few knock-ons at the end there. It's just, they're big moments, and we need to win them. I'm looking forward to having a look back at that last line out, because felt crooked from where we were, but it's still no excuse, because we really felt like we should have won that today, and it's obviously bitterly disappointing.
Obviously this will seem like one that just got away from you guys, but are there positives that you can take from this?
Yeah, I think, we've matched them physically, and I think we matched them. As I said, I felt like we should have won that game if we did things a little bit better, and a few drop balls here and there, and you know, everyone looks at Leinster as this kind of unbeatable team, but I think we've proven here today that we're definitely matching them, and I think on another day we would have taken the win.
Obviously a massive disappointment, but personally, obviously you got the try and some massive defensive lines from Munster, and yourself as well, a massive turnover there in the 55th minute. I don't know if you're more proud of the try or the defensive effort.
No, I think it's a defence. It's massively a team thing, isn't it? We were really fronting up, and we felt comfortable in that area. You know, when they were inside our 22, we really felt like they weren't going to score. It's just disappointing that we let them score off a set piece. You know. And you know, that was the deciding of the game.
Well, not easy coming over straight after a loss, so really appreciate your time.
Cheers, lads. Thanks.
1 second.